Welcome everybody to the Super Geek Squad, episode 5. It's Ron and Colten coming at you. And we got some good stories we're going to tell you about Colten's experiences at Comicon. Take it away, Colten.
First thing, before I preference everything, is there's a very important thing if you go to a Comic-Con. Or if you ever go to any sort of, like, hobby store or anything like that. You know, there's a lot of stores that will host events, like board games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hygiene.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to be the most hygienic person, and go to the extreme. But if you have an odor, which is fine, because a lot of people do have odors. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a natural odor. I think actually almost everybody does. Now, some are more severe, but just shower. And you know what? If you feel like that's still too much, I tell you what, I would much rather walk around and be like, oh my god, that's a lot of Axe body spray, than the alternative, okay?
Yeah.
That's the preference, because there was a lot of that during it, too.
Yeah, like, they do, they do make deodorant, guys, just saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But the Comic-Con I went to, it was a lot smaller than, like a San Diego one or something like that. There was, it was for just a couple days, and there was only a few hundred people in total there. We're North Dakota. We don't have a huge population.
Right.
That's not even that. It's just Midwest. Not that many people.
Yeah.
And we went there, and, I went there with my little sister, my friend Joe, his wife's sister, and then another friend. So there were 6 of us in total.
Okay.
And I built my own costume and everything. It took me like a month to do, and I got second place in the costume contest. I was pretty pissed off. Mine, which was handmade, I lost to a furry who bought it on eBay. He didn't even know what material it was made of, and they gave him first place, which upset me. I'm still pretty upset about that.
What were they judging on? Like quality, or
I think there was, I want to say there was 4 categories. There was creativity, craftsmanship, maybe it was like, I don't know, could quality and craftsmanship go pretty hand in hand? But there was a few different things. Oh, and then pose. I went up there and I dabbed. You know? So
because that was in at the time.
Yeah. That
you wouldn't do that now.
No, I would. Absolutely, I still do. But, I feel like if he bought it and he doesn't even know what material it's made out of, yes, you can still put him in a higher place, but at the very least, maybe like, and again, you don't like win anything special, right? I got like a $20 gift card for second place and a board game, but it wasn't even an actual board game. It was a fucking add-on to a board game. It was like the DLC of a board game. I didn't even have the real board game. I couldn't play the game.
Oh, geez. See, that's how you upsell.
I threw it away. I was mad.
Oh, jeez.
But
we will not tell you what board game that is.
But there's an email out there. No, but I feel like at the very least, if you're going to have a costume contest, that you should have one for people who made it and one for people that just bought them.
Right.
And I don't know, I just feel like, because like I said, it took me like a month to do that, because I've never done anything like this before. I failed so many times with it and screwed up so many different things. I had to spend so much money to buy all this foam that I needed and that stuff, and I had to go to the UPS store downtown and work with the guy at the front desk to figure out how we can get papers and measure these things, so that way I have like cutouts that I can use, to trace my outlines of things. So it took me forever to figure out how to do this, and I was super happy with it and super proud. And then I got beat by a person that bought theirs on eBay.
Okay, so when you say foam, now was it just foam?
It's called
like
EVA
were you like
foam.
the little kid on Little Giants that comes waddling down? Like my mom says, the foam you gave me wasn't good enough.
It's it was like it's called an EVA foam, and it's pretty similar to oh gosh, I don't even know what I would compare it to. It's like a thicker foam, or a sturdier foam, and so like I had to like cut pieces at certain angles and measure things properly and that stuff, and then I would glue them around. Like I had a helmet and everything that I made.
Okay.
And like it had depth to it and all sorts of details and everything, and it took me forever, because the only glue that would work with it was contact cement.
Oh, I suppose.
And as soon as it touched anything, if I ever like just slightly moved my hand, I had to start that piece over, because the only way it's coming apart is if I rip the foam. And so, even the slightest mistake, I had to start over that piece, because it'd just be ruined.
Right.
So it took me a lot more foam than I wanted.
What character was it?
It's from an anime show.
What show?
My Hero Academia. That hat that I always wear.
Oh.
Is from that show.
I have not seen that.
It's I can find a picture of the I can't find a picture of what I look like in it, because I don't know why I have it.
They probably took it off the internet.
Yeah, probably. I don't know why I have it saved on my computer and not my phone, but that's for whatever reason, that's what I did.
Right.
But the character is named Ingenium.
Okay.
And it's basically a superhero that has, like, in this show, people are born with things called quirks. And so, like, you know, you have, like, a superhero like Superman, right? And he's got laser vision, right?
Yep.
Well, a character in that show might have laser vision too, but their eyes are turned like a different thing or whatever. Or they have like a real big thing, like, you know, like Cyclops, how he wears his visor.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
That might just be part of their, like, actual human structure.
Okay.
You know, instead. So it kind of like takes like superheroes and it like shows you look at the person and you're like, oh, that's what their superpower is.
Right.
So this person has like engines kind of in his legs that help him run incredibly fast.
Okay.
And he wears kind of a cool suit. So
is it like kind of like a samurai, like martial arts type of series?
I mean, there are some people that fight like that, yeah, but there are other people who, you know, there's a guy he's literally a gun. His head, he looks kind of like a cowboy almost, and he's got guns that he uses and stuff like that or whatever. So
wow, I'm not into anime. That sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah, let me find.
I don't have nothing against anime. I don't. I just
get him. Yeah.
Damn it,
Let me find a nice picture here. Okay, here's a pretty spot on one. So this is this is what it looked like.
Oh, that's actually pretty cool.
He was the only character that has glasses in the show, so that's why I picked them. And I actually think the suit looks really cool. But I had to dye my hair blue, and I kid you not, I got unbelievably sick. I was like down. I slept for like 3 days straight, and when I woke up, I didn't know what was going on. I had missed work and everything like that. And I woke up and I just threw up, and I felt like I was dying, and I was like breaking out in a rash all over my body. And it comes to find out that I'm allergic to that type of hair dye.
Wow.
That's how I
crazy.
found out. That's how I found out I was at Comicon.
That is so crazy. Like, holy cow. Who knew?
Yeah,
like,
right. Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Hair dye.
I'm allergic to a couple different types of medicine, and that, I guess.
Yeah. Boy. We're going to put you in a bubble if we ever go to Comicon.
Yeah. Keep me away from people that look like they're all haired up and stuff like that.
It's so funny. Just, I'm not trying to get off talking, it's funny. My son come out of the shower, you know, he was dressed and everything, and he goes, Dad, I got red spots all over me. I'm like, who'd you kiss? You know, like, what's your girlfriend got? He goes, shut up, no. He's like, I used that Old Spice body wash, and I'm breaking out. I'm like, uh-oh. I'm like, here, Papa Allegra. That's it. And he goes, what's going on? It's like, you're breaking out and hiding. I was like, so, yeah, it's pretty crazy. Something like that happening. It's like, it can happen out of nowhere, but I thought it was kind of funny at first. Just saying.
Then, we had there was a stand-up portion of it as well. So I entered the costume contest, and I got second place, and I got that stupid board game, and I got $20 to a I can't remember what it was, but it was a gift store over there that deals with, like, they sell board games and comic books and all sorts of stuff like that. And then we went to the stand-up, and I don't think there was anything for anybody that won. It was just whoever wanted to go up there and do it. And there were some people that went up there, and they sang, and none of them were awful, but none of them were great, and they picked a lot of, like, really weird songs.
Yeah, like Backstreet Boys?
No. That's not weird. That's what I would have done.
Yeah.
That's not weird. That's
in.
Yeah,
it's still in.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then there was a few people who also tried to go do stand-up comedy, and unfortunately those ones were not funny. There was some. You would tell the punchline, you know, and you know how you give like a little break for people to laugh. I mean, it was actually just like you could like hear people turning their heads, like to look around at everybody else. It was very awkward.
So, were all the jokes like comic book related, like character related, or were they just random?
I think
jokes?
it was just random stuff because nobody knew that there was everybody knew that there was gonna be a costume contest, but they didn't know that there was gonna be like a show or something like that, like an America's Got Talent, but you know, for North Dakota, you know, so everybody just did random stuff, and there was judges up there and stuff.
But you had to keep it clean, right?
For the most part. I mean, there was a couple like, you know, innuendos and stuff like that, but nobody like went really over the top or anything. But there was only like, again, for the group that went, there wasn't a lot of people that went or like that did it. I think there was only like 9 or 10 different acts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was. I mean, a lot of people were just really nervous or shy or whatever it was. But I was like, I get to go up and stand in front of people, and I have all their attention. Yeah. Of course, I'm going up there.
Yeah, obviously.
So, and it was kind of like a spur of the moment thing too. Like, you know, you knew about it a couple hours beforehand, so you had to come up with like, you know, granted nobody was up there for more than like 5. I was up there between 5 and 10 minutes. But I had a joke that I did, and I don't even think that it was like a crazy funny joke or anything like that. I was just like more of a joke between me and some friends and that stuff because of the situation. It was hilarious.
Right.
So one of my friends, he's a triplet, and it's him, and he's got two sisters.
Okay.
And they were the butt end of a lot of the jokes because when I was in like middle school and high school, he was like the friend that I hung out with. You know, I was over at his house. If he wasn't over at my house on the weekend, I was at his house on the weekend.
Was it because of his two sisters?
It wasn't actually.
Okay.
But and it just another side note to derail or whatever. It's if you don't talk to somebody, you know, like, because he had his sisters, right? And it was like the same typical thing, you know, you go hang out with your, you know, you're in school and that stuff, you're younger and you're hanging out with your buddies and their sisters come by and that stuff, and you're like, oh, gross, I don't, girls, ew, you know? Right. We're sitting there, we're playing, like, Lego Star Wars and stuff like that, we're building Legos and whatever, and then, you know, they come and they ask for stuff every once in a while or whatever, like our help with whatever and that stuff, and again, there was no, like, it's not that I hated them or anything like that, but we weren't friends, right? Just different friend groups. And it's very weird when somebody comes up to you and they're like, oh, I would kiss you if you weren't like a brother to me. And it's like, what do I say to that? You know what I mean? Like, you know, I'm just like,
I do the same. If you were like a sister or little cousin, Mm-hmm.
But,
wait till we're teenagers.
Yeah. Well, we were teenagers.
Oh, jeez.
But, so there was one night, where during this time, and I told this as the story, that, you know, my friend and I, we were at his house, and we came inside, we were out, we were playing football after school on a Friday night, and when we came back in, his two sisters were in the kitchen, and they were arguing. And, you know, we're two teenage guys, we're hungry all the damn time, so we're in there trying to find something, and they're yelling at each other, and, like, actually screaming about how they're calling each other ugly. And now one of them, they were about the same height. One of them was a little bit taller, and he, not like he was like real big, but he was a little bit bigger. Mm-hmm. You know, that's how you could tell the difference. Is one of them was a little bit taller and a little bit bigger. Yeah. And I mean, they even when they dyed their hair and had like highlights in it, it was exactly the same. Yeah. And they're sitting there yelling at each other and that stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, they just won't stop. And my friend Levi, he's like, whatever. And I'm like, you know what? I'll handle this. I'm the smart one here. Oh yeah. And so I go in there and I get in between them, and I'm like, listen. I don't know, why are you calling each other ugly? You look the same. Yeah. And me, I'm like, you'd be calling yourself ugly. Right. But to them, I just called both of them ugly. Oh, gosh. So they grabbed the coffee mug, and they threw it at me, and I ducked, and it shattered against the wall. And I was like, well, I'm going back downstairs. I'm not going to deal with that anymore. So, you know, I told that, you know, to kind of start with my jokes and stuff like that, and I had a couple other little things in here and there. And then I was telling another story. Now, obviously, I worded it differently in that stuff because I felt like I was on a time crunch. Right. But I was over there again, and his dad, he was a single dad. Their mom had passed away years ago, and his dad had to have gone through hell because anytime I was over there, it's not fair to let one of the kids have a friend over, so each of them would also have one over. So there was like 6 of us. We're in school. Yeah. Obviously, Levi and I talked to each other, and all the girls, they talked to each other. Right. But we wouldn't interact at all. But during the weekend, we were all, like, best friends, you know, because it's all 6 of us in there. We're all on the same grade and everything like that. We all have classes together, so on and so forth. And, well, Levi and I are in his room, and we're playing games, and they kept, like, coming and opening the door and that stuff and making noises or whatever and then running back to their room. And after one of the times, I'm like, you know what, Levi? This isn't funny. Yeah. I'm going to do the same thing to them. And so I went over, and I tried to open the door, and it wouldn't open. And I'm like, damn it, they thought of that already. And so, as I was like, I tried to open it a second time, well, I kind of felt that the door had unlocked or whatever, so I opened it slightly, and there they were. They had taken one of their bras and turned it into a slingshot. And they launched they just like crumpled up a bunch of pieces of paper to make a ball, and they launched it at me, but the bra slipped out of their hands, and it hit me in the face, and I like fell backwards, and I hit my head against the back of the wall. And somehow it clipped onto my glasses, too. So when I tried to pull it off, it started taking my glasses, and it snapped back to me again, and then I fell down the stairs. And I got knocked out. I think it was like the only time I ever got knocked out. And when I woke up, Levi and his dad were there, and I'm just staring at him and that stuff, and they're like trying to check. They're like, oh my god, are you okay? Are you okay? And I just look at him, and I'm like, damn. That was a booby trap. That was my joke. That was like my big thing or whatever.
That's first place in my eyes. Those booby traps can be dangerous. Yeah, especially the big ones.
Yeah. But yeah, it was. You know, I went and I told that joke and that stuff. And that one, everybody did laugh at all the jokes that I said, which I was real happy of because I went like more towards the end, and it was a pretty tough crowd. Nobody liked any of the other. I mean, granted, the jokes were pretty bad, but I was like, oh god, maybe everybody else is just a really really tough crowd and that stuff. Because the reason I'm not laughing is I'm in the zone. All this is competition. I don't like any of them. None of them are funny to me.
Yeah.
And so like I'm in the zone and that stuff, but I'm seeing nobody else is laughing, and I'm like, oh no, what am I? I'm gonna go up there and I'm gonna embarrass myself, and I got my blue hair and I feel sick because I'm allergic and I didn't know I was allergic. Like, how am I gonna do this? And it went well. Like I said, there was no prizes or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure everybody was laughing. So that's a win in my book.
What? I'm sure everybody wants to know. What was this board game that you threw away?
Oh, I can't even remember what it was. It was like a board game where it was almost like a Christopher Columbus thing, where you had like little boats that you would put down, and you would have to draw cards, and it would like help you direct where you were going, and then you would have to try to go to islands and like build on the islands and that stuff, and that would like help your economy or something like that. And it was like up to 4 players, and you had to like try to take over more of the map than them or whatever. I don't know. It was so hard to figure out the rules because it was an add-on, so all it did was give the rules on like what the add-on does. So I didn't even know what the base game was.
Yeah.
But that's what I figured from it from reading it.
Okay. So how many Comicons you been to?
Just that one.
Just that one?
Mm-hmm.
So like what famous people were there?
I could never remember his last name. The original Hulk, Lou.
Oh, Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
He was there. There was a couple cosplayers that were there that are like famous cosplayers that are really big names. I can't remember the name of them, but I could probably find them with a couple minutes of searching. And then there was a couple comic book writers there. One of them was, I'm not sure if it was the one that came up with it, but he was like one of the ones that kind of helped shape Wolverine.
Oh, okay.
And I can't remember his name. I want to say it starts with an L, but I can't remember what his name was.
See, listeners, this is where you could help us. Go in the comment section and be like, hey, it was this person.
Yeah, you talked to this guy and you didn't even hang out with him, you idiot.
Yeah.
And then they had, this huge room, like the auditorium of it, set up for different people who were selling stuff. A lot of it was comic books. A lot of it was like comic artists, like selling their own drawings and stuff like that. People doing the live drawings, posters, some action figure. It was mostly comic books that were being sold, but there was all these other extra things too. And I lied about the, now that I'm saying this, I lied about the stand-up comedy, because you got a, when you won for that and the costume contest, they had awards for people where there was basically a Comicon currency.
Yep.
You could use that currency to go buy stuff.
Oh,
and then at the end of the event, those people who got that stuff can go take it in. Return it in and that stuff. But it's not like you went and gave them $10 and they gave you this much amount or whatever. It was only specifically to those who entered the contest.
Oh, okay, that's what I was wondering. If you won the contest, that's how you got it.
Yep.
Okay.
And so I was able to get, I got my sister some stuff because I pretty much used all of the tokens that I won on her. But I got myself a poster of another thing from My Hero Academia. I think that might have been it. I think I got her a couple comic books, and I got her a drawing and then a poster as well.
So, how much were the tickets?
I think the tickets for this one were relatively cheap. If I remember, it was only $25 a person.
Was that VIP?
No, I don't think this one had a VIP because, like I said, it was only a few hundred people.
Okay. Because there was, it was one in Fargo. I think it was called like ValleyCon or something like that.
I think that's what it was that I went to, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't remember when they did their last one. I think it was October or September or something, if I remember correctly. And I was thinking about going to it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that sounds about right. That's when ours was, yeah.
Yeah, but when I went in there, of course they have specials for early bird purchase for tickets.
Yeah.
And then when I went in there to even try and get tickets, it would keep sold out.
Really?
And then I messaged the guy, said, these can't be sold out. Like, I mean, you can make more money on tickets. Why aren't you selling tickets? I mean, more people, more fans at panels. I mean, obviously, is more money for everybody. So he goes, the system's screwed up. I'll add some more. Well, then what ended up happening is we had a storm that weekend. So I didn't buy them, which I'm glad I waited because I seen there was a storm coming, so I just didn't go. But they had some Star Trek actors were going to be there. The one guy I really wanted to go see was Bulk and Skull from. I think was Bulk and Skull were going to be there from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Okay.
I think it was there, or or it might have been the one in Minnesota, Minneapolis. I might be getting it mixed up, but it seemed like every time we wanted to plan to go to a Comicon, I think Storm screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey guys, a little note here. Why don't you do your Comicons in the middle of summer? So we can actually go.
I think a lot of it is that Comic-Con is a... I don't know how I want to word it. I think what they've done is they've like changed the dates of it and that stuff to try to figure out where they get the most amount of people.
Mm-hmm.
Because when it's like in the spring and summer, there's already so many other things going on, and a lot of people don't want to go do stuff like right as winter's starting and that. So I think that's why they do it around that time. It's because people aren't doing stuff around that time anyway. So
yeah.
But then you have all these people who are dressing like either really revealing or skin tight clothing and stuff like that, and it's freezing. And mine, I specifically went up to Walmart and I bought underneath my suit for that like kind of like blue color for his cloth. Yeah. I bought a pair of sweatpants and a sweatshirt and glued the stuff onto that so that way I would be warmer. And even then, it was still pretty cold outside. Yeah. Because I couldn't. How bulky it is, I couldn't wear like a jacket over it or anything like that. I would have to. When I was doing the walking around the first day, and then the second day when the costume contest was going on and that stuff, I had to go back up to my room and switch into it because it was so bulky and that stuff, and I couldn't sit down in it or anything like that either. So I was standing the whole time, and then when I'm like, okay, my legs are sore or I'm uncomfortably warm or something like that, then I'm gonna go change back into regular clothes.
So I've never been to one. Obviously, one day would like to go because it's just cool seeing actors, actresses, and comic book artists, and all different types of genres and stuff. And so, is there a dress code?
I would have to say no.
So if I show up in jeans and a Ninja Turtle shirt, I'm good, right?
Oh, you mean like that? I thought you meant revealing. I was like, there are people that wear like.
I don't want to walk in and get stared at. Well, like I don't want people to go, look at this idiot.
No.
So like give me that 411. So
yeah, I went dressed up like over the top where you couldn't see. You could see my eyes, and that was it. Or I guess my hands also. Yeah. My sister went and she bought like I don't want to say a onesie, but I don't know what the other name of it would be. She got like a Miss Marvel.
Okay.
Outfit.
Yeah.
So that was pretty, nonchalant. It was just regular clothes. Right. Another one dressed up as like Harley Quinn with like the jacket and stuff like that or whatever. So again, it was like pretty much just the clothes. Yeah. There was, a person who went as Joker who ended up going to jail that night, but he had like the face paint and everything like that or whatever. So you have like all different tiers, and then of course you have just people that just dress up in like streetwear. Yeah. There are people that don't even wear. They're wearing like Nike or Adidas or something like that. They're not even wearing like Ninja Turtles or Power Rangers or anything that relates to something that Comic-Con might be.
So hold on a minute. Okay, so person dressed up as Joker went to jail. Yeah. So was Batman there?
No.
Oh damn.
It was just I was the one that tried to help the most before the cops got it.
So you're Batman.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Justice. But yeah, he was he dressed up exactly like the Joker. I mean, his costume was pretty spot on. Like, it was actually a very, very well done costume. But he went in and he played like the kind of weird factor that Joker does. Right. And he was doing okay.
Now, which Joker was he mimicking?
He was
Was he mimicking Jack Nicholson, or was it the Dark Knight Joker?
There you go. Yes, that I can't. Oh my God, I don't know why. I can't
remember. I'm sorry. We're terrible with names,
but yes, it was that one.
Put that in the comments.
Yeah. But and so day one, it was he was walking around talking and that stuff, and I was like, okay, it's not bad, whatever. But then day two came around. Yeah. And those of us that had our costumes and stuff like that, we're in a line because they're like one by one calling us out there, introducing your name, introducing the character that you are and that stuff. Right. And if it's homemade or if it was bought. Right. And again, see, that's why I complained about it, because they specified if it was homemade or it was bought, but the homemade still won. And they specified the differences between the two, but then they were in the same category. So it's whatever.
Didn't make sense.
And so while he's there, I have my little sister in front of me and my friend behind me. Right. So Miss Marvel, and Genium, Harley Quinn. Well, this Joker guy, he was not at the front of the line, but he went up to the front of the line while we're waiting. And he's going up one by one, talking to all the girls. And this is where it started to get weird and that stuff, because the one thing you're going to realize about Comicon is there are a lot, more so than not, they're underage.
Well,
which is no problem. Obviously, anybody of any age can enjoy it.
Yeah.
But if your goal is to go to Comicon to try to find a lady or guy, probably not going to end the night well. And so he went through, and then he tries to get up to my sister, and I instantly stepped up in front of him as soon as he walked over, and he just kind of looked at me, and he tried to do the like, why so serious thing, and I told him he needs to leave. And then he goes behind me and he tries to go to my friend, and I take a step back and I'm like, you need to keep going down the line.
Yeah.
And he just kind of looked at me. You could tell he was pissed off.
Yeah.
And so whatever, that went through. And then later in the night, when it came to the activity where there was the stand-up and everything like that, he was one of the talents, quote unquote.
Right.
And he wanted to show how great his fighting, like fake fighting, was.
Yeah.
So he got this guy who was dressed up as Goth Spider-Man, I think it was. He carries like the guitar and that stuff.
Right.
And he was like, okay, you need to pretend to hit me and stuff like that. And he's like trying to do it and that stuff, and he's stopping it constantly. He's like, no, not like that. Like, do it like this. Like, you're ruining my moment for me. He was the only person that was kicked off the stage. The judges had a big gong behind them, and if they hit it, it meant you were done.
Yeah.
Not only did he get the gong hit multiple times, they actually had to bring people to bring him off the stage.
Yeah.
And then when he finally did go off the stage, he tried to like make a jump and run for it, and he fell off the stage and landed on my friend.
Do you have this on video?
No.
Oh,
no,
damn.
no. But so he did that, and then we're not even done yet. Then the show ends and stuff like that or whatever, and now it's basically just in the auditorium. It's pretty much. I think my sister was like the only one that wasn't over the age of 21, because then they like open up like the bar and stuff like that or whatever.
Right.
And a bunch of people were just in there. I was hanging out with the Goth Spider-Man. I was hanging out with an Aquaman. I was hanging out with, I don't know if it was Poison Ivy, but I think she was trying to be Poison Ivy, but she was just wearing like a green dress and had like all sorts of floral things and stuff and had red hair. So I think it was Poison Ivy.
Okay.
But I was too scared to ask because I didn't want her to think her costume sucked.
Yeah. Well, sure, I understand that.
But
yeah.
So we're hanging out, and he tries to come over and that stuff, and because we're like the group, it was basically, there was a couple of us in my specific group that didn't dress up that were over there, but the rest of us are ones that like had dressed up and that stuff or whatever. So he's like, oh, I'm dressed up, I want to go over there and hang out. Well, we really didn't want him over there because he was being really weird again towards all the girls, and he left. And then there was a group of girls who, and this made me also feel weirded out too. There was a group of girls who also dressed up from My Hero Academia, and they just did like real basic things, like I said, some face paint and then the clothing or whatever, which again, there's nothing wrong with that. They didn't sign up, for the costume contest or whatever. It was just, I'm guessing, a group of high school friends that were like, this would be so much fun to go to, like, put a little bit of makeup on and that stuff so we mimic the characters or whatever. But because I was My Hero Academia, they thought we were like this. We were best friends.
Yeah.
And so I'm like being followed around by this entourage of 3 high school girls.
And were you in high school at the time?
No.
Okay, so I get why you're trying to keep your distance.
Yeah. So I'm like, and you can, if anybody doesn't believe me, you can go ahead and ask the other 5 people I was with. They were all like, yes, he tried to keep his distance. I tried to be as nice as I could and not, because again, this was something that, they probably experienced for the first time. They were really excited. I didn't want to ruin anybody's weekend with anything.
Yeah, right.
So I tried my best to be nice, and it just didn't work, and they followed us around a lot. Well, we're in there, and, everybody's drinking a little bit and that stuff, and as we come walking out, you can see these 3 high school girls are all standing in the corner, and an officer's talking to them, and Joker's in handcuffs.
Oh my god.
And I guess he like really tried to go after them.
Really?
And yeah, that's, again, I didn't push or prod or anything like that, or, but they were following me around all the time, so they kind of, talked about it a little bit and that stuff while I was around, so I'm sitting there and I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude, I am actually Batman here. Like, I have to protect everyone.
Yeah. You should have like ran to the room, put on a Batman costume, and come out like
ask somebody if they had it.
That would have been amazing. Did you ever see that guy again?
No. I mean, I don't live in that town, obviously.
Well, no,
so, but yeah, he was not there at the rest of the convention.
I didn't know if it was like 2 guys dressed up as like cops. It was like all part of an act. Like.
No, I mean they got into it. If it was, they got in a cop car with lights, so like they were really dedicated.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it was. There's a lot of weird people there, and one thing that is difficult for a lot of people is there's like, it's hard to word it, but the simplest way I can put it is a lot of people don't really care about age.
Yeah.
And so like they see that you're there and you're not walking with a parent, so okay, they've got to be 18. But even then, like, if you're in, like, your 30s or 40s or whatever, and you're like, oh, yeah, he's probably 18, that's already weird.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
So
no.
Comic-Con it's a lot of fun, and I had so much fun with it, and I would love to go again. But there was definitely a lot of very weird things that happened. There were some kind of interesting smelling people. There were some very interesting characters. There was some very interesting personalities. There was a lot of people who you have to, if you go to a Comic-Con, you have to, not in like a weird way, but especially if you dress up, or you're like a talent there or something like that, like whether you're, an actor or an actress or a comic book writer or something like that,
Right.
or you're a cosplayer or whatever it might be, you almost have to throw boundaries out the window, because everybody's going to come up to you, they're going to, be touching you and that stuff, they're going to be
Right.
hugging you and that stuff or whatever, they're going to ask all sorts of questions and that stuff.
Right.
So, like, there's going to be a lot of that, but while people are doing that to you, as weird as it sounds, you can't do that to other people, right? Because most of the time, the people that are doing that to you are like high schoolers and that stuff that don't understand the real world boundaries. They're with their friends and that stuff, and when they're in class and that stuff, they're all screwing around and goofing off and that stuff. And they come up and they do that to you or whatever. Like I said again, one of these girls came up and like hugged me from behind, and I'm like, "Is this my sister?" And I turn around and I'm like, "Who in the hell are you?"
Yeah.
She's like, "We're from the same show." Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, they just kind of followed me around for the rest of the event or whatever, and it's just it's a weird thing.
See, you should have went up and did a Spice Girls act.
I could have.
Yeah.
I needed a couple more people.
Yeah. See, there you go. See, you gotta
But
embrace
nobody wanted to come up there though.
Oh man, I'm glad. Well, if I was there, I would have.
You would have been gonged off the stage.
I would have been a fool of myself, but it would have been funny. Like, I wouldn't have been weird. I would have been funny.
Yeah.
Like, that guy's an idiot.
I mean, but see, that's the thing too. And I'm sure this Joker guy thought that he was being funny.
Well, there's a difference to being funny and being funny and inappropriate. Yeah.
But yeah.
Joker's where he belongs.
Yeah.
Just put him with the penguin.
He got what he fucking deserved.
Yeah, exactly. One Comic-Con I've always wanted to go to, but it is super expensive, and from what I hear, I've never tried, but what I hear is getting tickets for it is impossible almost. San Diego Comic-Con.
Yep.
Do you ever try to get tickets for that or anything?
I've never tried to. The issue with that one is there's one, it's so far away. Two, it's so expensive.
It's like the biggest one they have. Yeah.
And again, this could be me being ignorant, who knows. But because it's like that, obviously a lot of it is. People are going to that one 9 times out of 10 because they're a really big cosplayer. Like, they're really excited about cosplaying. They like making costumes and so on and so forth.
Right.
But with that, there's a lot of people that do that because they like to make adult content, is how I'll word it. And so I know for a fact that it's not because of the Comic-Con. Like the people hosting the San Diego event, Company A isn't like, we need to have an adult content portion. But there's there's that going on, you have all those people getting together and that stuff, there is a lot of emphasis on that. And there are, like, if you go in that stuff, and I kid you not, if you look up, like, Comic-Con San Diego, and you go through, and I've done it before, because I wanted to, especially after I went to this Comic-Con, I was like, wow, these are so cool, I wonder, like, what other ones there are. And so I went and I watched, and they're talking about all the people and all the events and stuff like that going on, and then, people recording it, and, showing you what it's like and that stuff. And there are a lot of people that will get together to emphasize that portion of it and that stuff, and a lot of that stuff is very, very weird to me. I don't... I if I dress up and, create a costume and that stuff, it's because I want people to look at the costume, not look at, like, anything else, right? Like, I want people to be like, look what I made and that stuff. Like, obviously mine, I'm wearing, if you look up again, Ingenium, I'm wearing, like, a big suit of armor, basically, so, you can't really... there's not much creativity, or your mind can't wander too much with that. But with a lot of them, you can, and that's that's the selling point and that stuff or whatever. And so I've just not wanted to go to that one just because I don't want to be around people that are going there with that kind of intention or looking for people like that or whatever it might be. Like, I want to go because I want to interact with other people who have the same interests that me. Maybe find some really cool costumes and that stuff. Talk with some people, whatever it might be. Maybe meet some new like you said, like, actors or actresses or whatever it might be in that stuff, and then just have a good weekend. My weekend isn't there to be like, Ooh, I wonder what ladies are gonna be here.
Yeah. Well, if that's the reason you're going to Comicon, you probably shouldn't go in the first
You probably aren't paying attention to your hygiene.
Yeah, definitely. No, I'd really like to go. I don't know if North Dakota only has one.
I think they do.
You know, I've never understood why they don't embrace it more, because why can't the Fargo Dome or the Bismarck Civic Center have an event every year, a big event? Do they not realize what they could pull in? Like,
I think a lot of it is, the reason why Fargo kind of does well is because you have Minnesota right there. And Minnesota has the population. But when you do Bismarck and you are right in the middle of North Dakota,
yeah.
I mean, our population here is a lot of rednecks and hicks.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you're rocking with. Yes, there are some that are interested in that, but like a huge part of Comic-Con is having people dress up and create their costumes and stuff like that or whatever. And with North Dakota, you don't have that many people that are like that, because again, you have all these people that grew up on farms or whatever, so dressing up like that, it's like, well, that's kind of weird. Why would you do that or whatever? So you'll have some people, obviously, yes, but you won't have as many. You're just going to mainly have people that are going there that are, you know, like really obsessed with it, but not like really... They're interested in the other aspects of Comic-Con. They're not interested in the main aspect of it, if that makes sense.
Right.
So I think that's probably why they don't do as many here, because we just don't have we don't even have 1 million people in North Dakota, in the whole state.
Right.
So.
Well, you get a lot of tourists, though. You know,
yeah, but
there's a lot of history of North Dakota, Nebraska, South Dakota, you know, the whole Midwest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but again, you know, like I said, if it's in Bismarck, not a lot of people are like, oh, let's go visit Bismarck, the capital of North Dakota. That's not even the biggest town. It's half the size of their biggest town.
Yeah. And
the roads are... I don't know who the hell designed the road infrastructure there, but there are a bunch of idiots. They're some of the dumbest people on the planet.
You don't like roundabouts?
It's not even that. You know, when I first went to Bismarck on my own and I was driving and I didn't know, I had a GPS up. And I have a lisp, so this is hard for me to say.
Yeah.
But once you get off the interstate, go straight to stay on State Street. Turn left to stay on State Street. Continue going straight to stay on State Street. Continue going straight. And it says it every 20 feet because there's so many damn turns. It just tells you continue straight on State Street to stay on State Street. Hearing the word State Street makes me get violent. Like, I'm ready to fight somebody right now. Because it was so annoying. And, of course, I'm driving, so I can't, like, go on my phone and, like, turn it off or anything like that. All it is just State Street, State Street, State Street, State Street. And it just, like, again, there's so many freaking turns that take you off of State Street that it stay straight on State Street to stay straight on State Street. I know how, if I go forward, I know where I'm going to be on the same road.
Right.
But it drives me insane, and there's so many different turns and that stuff. There's not even that many people there, you know, that live in the town in comparison to, like, Fargo, but there's so many freaking roads. It's crazy.
I think, you know, this is just my opinion. Of course, there's a lot that goes into this, but you're familiar with WeFest, right?
I think so, yes.
It's like a huge country music event in Detroit Lakes, okay? And then now, I don't know if you're familiar that in New Salem, they started ND Country Fest, like 5 years ago.
Okay. And
it started out really, really small, and now it's blown up into really, really huge. Like, it's not WeFest caliber, but it's getting there. Because North Dakota wanted to have their own country music fest every year. Okay.
Yeah.
So why can't North Dakota have a Comic-Con? Why San Diego?
I think that's just because
it's Hollywood, it's by California.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
well, but I think a lot of it too is like, if you lined up everybody in North Dakota and you had them, you're like, okay, raise your hand if you like country music. You're gonna see probably 80% of the hands go up. Raise your hands if you like Comic-Con. You're probably gonna see some hands go up because they're like, I have a question. What the hell's a Comic-Con? You know, so the amount of people interested. I agree with you. I think that we should have more. I would think it would be awesome, but I just don't think that there's the numbers for it. Is why it is like that.
Well, like one big one a year. You know,
that's what the one at Fargo is.
The thing you got to remember too is what is everybody trying to target for interest? The younger generation. That's why they did a whole Ninja Turtles new movie and they're gonna do a new series because they want to get the kid generation introduced and excited about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Parents are gonna take their kids to that stuff, where they do face painting, whatever they do. So you're gonna make money.
Yeah.
Especially if you do it in the middle freaking winter, because that's when they want to do them, I guess. Like you said, what else do they have to do with their kids? Kids are driving them crazy. There's nothing to do. It's too cold outside. Oh, hey, look at this. You can go meet one of the Ninja Turtle actors or Power Ranger or anime character that you like. Like, I'm just saying. Well, obviously, we don't have the money or the pull to do something like this if we did watch out. But just saying, like, somebody needs to wake up and look at this.
Well, I mean, they've got the one that they do a year, like you were saying.
Yeah, but they do that at a motel.
Yeah.
You know,
it's very big, though, actually.
I know it's big. I've stayed at that motel. But I'm just like, pick a bigger venue. Just see what you could do. Because obviously you can only fit so many people in there on panel.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe try it one year, like, oh, we're the biggest one ever,
well, I think it is growing because, like you were saying, that there was, like, VIP access and that stuff in the more recent ones. There wasn't like that when I was there.
Oh, there wasn't?
No. So,
okay.
So, I mean, it is probably growing.
Okay.
And I went there, like, I think it was, like, 4 years ago, and that was, I think, one of their first ones. I don't think they did it many times before that.
Oh, okay.
So this was probably one of their feelers, and they probably, I mean, like I said, if there's VIP, then I'm sure that they've got, like, more stuff going on in that. Because, like, again, we had ours, and it was, the first day was basically just like a kind of meet and greet, I guess. Everybody was getting there. You were getting settled. That's where there was a lot of the panels for, like, the actors and the actresses. Then day 2 is when they had they had, like, games that you could play. They had the stand-up thing. They had the contest for the costumes. And then the main auditorium was, like, a big area that people were selling stuff in.
Right.
And then on day 3, Sunday, it was again just like another half of a day. They had people who were doing different types of face paints or like live paintings and stuff like that. People were selling things again. They had a special room off to the side where you could go in there, and it was like all these like new shows and TVs or series or movies or whatever that were coming out that trailers were like airing for, like, because they had some of them. Like the first time there, and it's not that big of one, and they still got some of that stuff, which was crazy.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of stuff like that. We went there, and this was during the time where, God, I can't remember which one, but it was one of the newer Godzilla movies. Yep. We got to see the first trailer for that, and we were all sitting there, we're like, this is so freaking cool, because they had the surround sound and everything like that, too, with it.
I think I know which Godzilla one you're talking about. Yeah, that was a pretty good movie.
So, like, it's definitely been improving and getting bigger and that stuff, and, unfortunately, it just takes, it's probably going to be a couple more years before they, like, maybe get, like, a new venue or something.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a very cool motel. Like, you got everything you need there. You got a bar, you got a restaurant, you got a huge pool area with a bar in the pool area. Like, we stayed there when we went to WWE, and yeah, it's a great place. I mean, don't get me wrong.
I got hurt in the pool.
How do you get hurt in the pool?
They got those little lily pads that you can walk on.
Yeah.
Well, of course, I thought I could run all the way across, without it, and I just kept slipping and falling right on my face. I got to, like, the 4th one, though. There's 5 of them. I almost got there, but I was too beat up.
Was it the kiddie area?
No, it was a little deep, but
that's got the pirate shipwreck in it, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So I just.
I mean,
did you walk the plank?
I was gonna say. I mean, I hung out on the pirate ship for a little bit. That's why I wasn't. But no, I was on the little lily pads and that stuff, and you got like little things that you can hold on to as you're going across, like you're going across like a monkey bar or something like that.
Yeah.
Or a jungle gym or whatever. But obviously, I'm too cool to use those, and I'm a grown up. I'm not gonna use those things. But yeah, I couldn't get across the lily pads.
Yeah. No, it's a great place. Like, it's kind of funny because we went to WWE. It was Road to WrestleMania. It was I think the beginning of last year, and there was a huge blizzard, and we're like, God, we don't know if we're gonna make this. And me and the kids and my buddy were gonna go, and I had to wait for him to get off work, and I was like, dude, if you ain't off by noon, I'm leaving you. Like, I want to get out of here. Like, this is getting worse. And he ended up getting off, and we took off, got down the interstate. There was a few pieces of ice, and we just pulled into Fargo, and they shut down the interstate.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and so we go to our hotel and everything, and next thing you know, my son's like, hey, our cousins are here. What? Yeah, they're here. I was like, no, they're not. They're just messing with us. Because in my family, everybody's got a sense of humor, and they always try to prank you.
Yeah.
Okay? So I'm like, no way. And this is one of the cousins, my cousin Keith, that's really close, right? And I'm like, no way. So he's like, I was like, are you here? He's like, yeah. Like, where? Yeah. He's like, I'm in the pool area drinking beer. Imagine that, because obviously he likes to drink beer, so do I. And I was like, what the heck? He goes, well, I believe at that time, him and his daughter and his wife and everything, they were all looking for colleges in like St. Paul and stuff like that.
Okay.
And he's like, yeah, we were driving back and, hit the storm, and we just thought, it'd be good just to shut her down in Fargo and just, wait it out or whatever. And so we decided to stay at the motel. I was like, you do realize, like, this just does not happen. Like, destiny brought this moment together, because we got to make this a memorable one. And man, it was so much fun. We were drinking beer and everything. He got so drunk. We had to tell him like 4 times what his room number was. He couldn't remember, so we had to help him get up to his room. It was so funny though. Like, he wasn't like stumbling or nothing. He was just like, he's like, what was my room number again? Like, we didn't want him to go knocking on any random door. So it was a really cool experience. So that motel holds a pretty cool memory for me. So. No, it's a good venue. It is.
Yeah.
And I definitely stay there again. So, yeah, no, man, we need to look at some Comicons or even go to that one. Maybe we can get a panel and just sit there and talk like weirdos. Not hit on the underage women. Obviously, we're not going to do that because we're proper.
Yeah.
We're not idiots. And but this time, we'll dress up as Batman and Robin.
Yeah, I think we have to.
Yeah.
I think if I go there again, I have to dress up as something like that.
Yeah. And it's like, not discriminating, but you are shorter, so you gotta be Robin, right?
No, that would be more funny if I was Batman.
Yeah, like, I don't even know who the shortest Batman was. Weren't they all like 6 feet? Oh, maybe Clooney. Maybe Clooney was short.
I mean, I could be Batman in heels.
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing that.
We walking on
I'm already going to be falling over on the lily pad. I don't need to fall over when I'm just walking.
That would be so fun. Well, with that being said, everybody, thank you for joining us for episode 5. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them on there, and we'll check them out. And if there was like any names or something that we couldn't recall, feel free to.
All of them?
Yeah, all like it's terrible. Like, I can look at that. I can look at someone. Oh, I know who that actor is. But like to talk about and be like, oh, I can't remember his name.
Yep.
Must come with age. I don't know. But yeah, it was a good episode, and we'll see you guys next time.